Good afternoon YouTube and welcome back to my channel. For today's video I'm going to be giving you guys a little update and talking about my shoulder injury, the surgery that I had recently. We're going to be looking at some of the exercises that I've been doing. Could be handy for some of you if you've had the same surgery or you have problems with your shoulder. It's a pretty common mountain biking injury. Hopefully some of you would have seen me back on the bike as well. So I'm going to explain everything. I've not really spoke about the surgery too much since I had it all the way back in November. So hopefully I'll clear things up today and you guys will have a really good idea of where I'm at with it. I'm sure that most of you guys watching this video will have fallen off of your mountain bike at some point. Most of you would probably have had some injuries, more than likely in the shoulder area. That is because this area on your body as a mountain bike rider is one of the most common areas for you to injure, whether that's broken collarbones, separated shoulders, snapped AC joints, or dislocating shoulders. For me, it was a dislocating shoulder problem. I crashed in 2015 doing a flip whip, landed on my shoulder, enough force to dislocate it. Problem with dislocating shoulders is once you do it once, the tendons and all the ligaments don't tighten themselves up again, so your shoulder becomes very loose and even more vulnerable. It's a vulnerable joint anyway because it requires a lot of movement. How did I prevent this from happening? Well, after 10 dislocations, I decided that it would be a good idea to undergo a shoulder arthroscopy, which is a keyhole shoulder surgery where they basically put suture anchors into the humeral head, so the ball part of the shoulder joint, and they fix all the holes and the damage in the labrum which has been caused from all the dislocations. This now brings us on to the main focus and topic of this video, which is the rehab, the recovery and the exercises, which is a crucial part of the surgery that I had. Your shoulder is a very complex joint because it requires so much movement. For example, your hip joint is a really big socket and it really covers the ball very well. So it makes it very difficult for it to come out. However, it doesn't require as much movement, whereas your shoulder is a very flat joint like this. That's because it requires a very wide range of movement, but at the same time that makes it very vulnerable and very, very easy to dislocate. Straight after the surgery for a month, so 4 weeks, you're in a sling with absolutely no movement whatsoever. That's because the tissue needs to heal, the scar tissue needs to form. Any sort of movements will just basically undo the work you've had done. So super counterproductive. Avoid that at all stages. It was an interesting stage, a difficult stage for me because I'm the sort of person that's always out doing things, always keeping busy and very active. So to all of a sudden be in a sling and not being able to do anything at all was quite an interesting stage. Other things I struggled with were real basic things like sleeping. Obviously your arm's in a sling, so you just can't lay down, you can't get comfortable. You have a bad night's sleep, you then sleep during that day, which means you're awake at night. It just starts this pattern which can snowball out of control really easily, and I did struggle quite a bit with that stage. But week 4 came round, I had a meeting with a consultant because this is quite a crucial stage, and he told me that around the house I was now able to remove the sling, which felt amazing. It gave me some freedom and meant that I could start doing some real small things. But the first week was difficult because it was so much effort to move my arm. Well, I wasn't really moving, it was just hard to do anything. And I honestly thought with the little movement that I had and how much effort it was hard to see parts that I'd ever be able to move my arm properly again, let alone ride a bike. It was a weird sort of stage to be at. Week 6 came and I was told that I can now go in public and out and about without the sling, which was nice. The reason that you're not allowed to at week 4 is because there's a lot of bruising still, and if someone, I don't know, in the town walked past you and bumped into you, or one of your mates came over and gave you a dig on the arm, it was more to act as a deterrent because any kind of impacts like that would still be very sore. As for rehab at this point, we started introducing some stretching just to start the movement and to get some flexibility in there so that it doesn't completely seize up. Week 8 arrived, the 2-month point, and this is where I noticed a lot of progress because I was able to start doing a lot more, including some physio exercises, no weights or anything like that. It was way too early for that, but just starting to work it a tiny bit. Instead of sitting here talking about the exercises. From this point onwards, I'm going to demonstrate some of the key exercises which I've been doing, the ones that I feel have benefited the most. The reason I want to do that is, one, to show you what's helped me get back on the bike quickly. Two, I want to show you because if any of you guys are having similar shoulder issues, or you've had the operation, or you've dislocated it and it's really sore and you want to know how to strengthen it and stabilize it even more, then hopefully this stage can help you out with some of that. So let's cut to some exercises. I'm just going to show you the 5 key exercises which I've been doing and which have helped me to recover quickly and successfully, get me back out on the bike. The first one, which was at week 8, was to put my arms like this and just lift them like that. Looks super simple right now. What I was doing was just building some movement back. I've got this arm on top of that one because it's supporting it, especially in the early days I had no strength to even lift it. Basically, where they tighten the joint up so much, you have to work to loosen it up again. I'll show you what happened the first time I did it though. I'll have to turn around. As I was lifting like this, because the joint was so stiff, I was just doing that. So I was cheating it really, and the physio wasn't too happy. But the idea was to eliminate that. And what I got told to do was, like I say, arms like this, aim to put my shoulder blades into my back pocket and then really get the joint moving within itself, as opposed to your whole shoulder and trap lifting itself up. This is like a movement that you use sort of every single day. So this was a really important one for me. Second exercise, once again, stretching, gaining movement and mobility back in the shoulder. It's really important actually, stretching and flexibility, I think, especially for what we do, high impact sports where you have crashes, because if your joints are flexible, I think it actually reduces injury, because when you crash and end up in a position your body doesn't like being in, if you're already flexible and stretchy, you're just like an elastic man. You just will bend and go into them positions naturally. Whereas if you're not so flexible and you crash, that's when you tend to break things. So to gain that flexibility, another one I had to do was stand my toes up against the wall, and then I had to walk my hand up the wall as high as I could, which again now probably looks quite easy, and for those of you that aren't injured sitting at home, it probably is easy. But for me, even like this, the shoulder feels super tight at the most extended point. And I don't know if you can see, but my back is actually starting to arch, which is cheating. Although the first time I did it, once again, I stood miles back and put my arm there, and I was like this, trying to gain the height. So as you can see, I have actually gained a load more flexibility back in it. And these basic stretches, they might be simple and they probably seem quite boring, but they're something that I will continue to do every single day, even when I've got good strength back in it, because like I say, I think that flexibility and mobility in your joints is super important. Exercise number 3, and we're going to introduce this little fella, the little ball, and he has helped me to regain stability and strength from my back. I'll show you how. So we put him up against the wall like that. Stand with your feet a shoulder width apart. Don't laugh or judge my slippers, please. And push on the ball. At the start, that was super hard and it put a lot of pain in the joint. So I've come a long way, because that's quite easy to do. Then to increase the stability, I had to make circles. And at the start, it was like all sort of like this and like jelly. But now I can quite comfortably do circles both ways. Do directions like that. The only one that actually still gives me a bit of jib now is internally like that. Like I can push hard and do it and it doesn't really shake or anything, but I do just get a bit of pain down here. And when I saw the consultant last week, he said to me that that pain is basically just the tissue that is still healing. It won't damage my shoulder and it's absolutely fine, but it's obviously, I've had an operation and I've been chopped about a little bit, so there's going to be some pain. But this, I really felt a lot of progress when I started doing this, also because I had to do an exercise where I put the ball like that and just applied pressure. And once again, now my arm is not shaking, it's really strong and I'm pushing on it as hard as I can. But when I first did that, it was all sort of shaky. Let's just turn around quickly. This one, which is working the external rotation, again, I get that pain back in the arm, even down there. Like I said, it's nothing to worry about, but just doing exercises like this, so applying pressure, holding it for 10 seconds, doing like little squeezy things like that with it. And And then with this kind of exercise, if you wanted to try it, it's not about how many you're doing, so standing there going like this. It's about doing nice, slow, controlled ones, because that's what really works the muscles and builds that strength and stability, which is what we're aiming for. Exercise number 4, and we're going to be introducing these little Pilates yoga bands. So obviously at this stage we're not working with crazy weight, but just these resistance bands are so beneficial, and you can, after doing this for about a week after a surgery or whatever, you can really feel the benefit. So the exercise which I've been doing mainly with these is elbows on your hips, and then you're going to pull the band out like that, and then slowly with control come up to about head height. You can see my left hand is shaking a little bit, just where I'm still working on building that stability. This is a medium tension one, so it's actually quite stiff to pull anyway, and there's a hard tension one which hopefully I can get onto. And we're just working on being nice and controlled, nice and slow, just building that stability. This is the 5th exercise already, so I'm actually just going to talk you through a few more, because there's a few more that I want to talk about. Moving on to a 2 kilogram weight. When I started, I had a 0.5 kilogram weight, but your shoulder's most vulnerable position is actually out to the side like this, so you want to try and strengthen in that area. One way which I've been doing that is get your 2 kilogram weight and go to that hip, nice and slowly back out as far as you can go. No need to overstretch it, because you actually don't need much range of movement in that direction. But like I say, because it is the most vulnerable position, it's just good to strengthen it in that area. I'm now laying on the floor. It probably looks like I've crashed, but I haven't, I'm just being lazy. This exercise is really good for stability and strength. So in my left arm, I've got a 2 kilogram weight, and I'm gonna try and lift it up, drive my head. So there we are, that's quite difficult. So that's the strength element. Once I've got it here now, you're just working on moving little circles, because all those little muscles, that's just working them and building them up, which in turn is holding my shoulder in place along with the surgery that I've had done. Like everything I do, I like to try and keep it fun, and this recovery rehab has been no different. What this is doing is, when she throws it in different directions and things, it's improving my reactions, which is good for riding, and it's improving my mobility and speed of my shoulder. And actually throwing the ball back is, you might not think of it, but it's a movement that was difficult after the surgery. So this is actually super beneficial. When she throws it to my left hand side, that's actually a really horrible one for me to try and catch, because your arm is going into that vulnerable position, which I was just thinking about or speaking about. That's it for now with the ball. We are now going to move on to some other exercises. The final exercises for this video that I'm going to be showing you using the resistance band. So once again, not weights, they connect onto the door like that. And the first one that I'm going to be doing is like this. So start with it there, put some tension on the band, and then with just your shoulder, you're going up and then back out. I do about 12 of those. Once again, it's not necessarily about how many you do, it's more about doing them controlled and feeling the progress. My shoulder obviously feels pretty tight doing this, but it is beneficial to do them. The next one, stand in like a lunge position and then come back, and then it's all with your shoulder joint. So you want to try avoid twisting, you know, to do this is quite unproductive. You want to try and focus on just being forwards and then back with the shoulder, because it's building the muscles up in the front of the joint there, adding protection for all those big crashes which are coming up. Finally, these 2 exercises have definitely been the ones that over the years on both shoulders have helped me the most. It's your internal and external rotations. Super simple with the band, elbow on your hip, and then all you're going to do is just come in like that and then back out and then in. Just doing 12 sets of those 3 times, 2 times a day is really beneficial. And in the period when I didn't have the operation and was trying to recover just from using physio, I built up good strength and muscle around the shoulder, and I feel that these exercises were the reason why I built up that strength. Finally, working that rotation outwards, so exactly the same basically as what I was just doing. It's just working the muscle in a different way, building stability, building strength, and get me back on the bike. There we have it. They are the exercises which I have been working on up until this point. In the future, I will work on building muscle more and working in the gym, lifting weights, and like I say, bulking the shoulder out more. However, from week 8, 2 months until now, these exercises have been really important just to help stabilize it and build up the little muscles and little bits of strength, which have helped me to get back on the bike. Which brings me on to my riding and where I'm at the moment, because it's probably quite confusing for you guys. It has been confusing for me. You've seen videos of me riding, doing tricks now. You probably want to know where I'm at and how I'm feeling. I'll explain that to you right now. As you would have hopefully seen, there's some videos of me back out on the bike. I've been doing some dirt jumping, doing some tricks, doing some challenge videos with Cara, and riding pit bikes with Sam. So it might look to you guys like, oh, he's 100% back and he's feeling really good. I'm feeling really good. My shoulder feels more stable than it has done for the last 5 years. That's hands down, without a doubt. And I'm feeling really confident, and the things you've seen me doing aren't out of my limits within regards to the shoulder. They feel comfortable. I don't feel like I'm putting it at risk at all of a dislocation and ruining all the hard work that I've put in. However, I guess it's fair to say that everything that I am doing is within my limit, and it will be a while until I'm pushing it really hard, doing massive tricks on massive jumps. If I went to a bike park or somewhere and there's really big gap jumps, I'd probably steer clear of that just for now, because on big jumps and things like that, anything with a big hit really, I don't really want to take that risk just yet, because the shoulder, the surgery, the recovery is going well. I just don't want to run before I can walk and risk undoing all of the work. The same goes to crashing. So the 10 tricks video, you would have seen me doing backflips, tail whips, 360s, which felt amazing to do, by the way. But I wouldn't have done a front flip or a free whip, because I just don't want to push it that far yet and risk crashing, going down on the arm and doing more damage. So I am feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I'm so stoked that I'm able to ride again and make some videos for you guys, which I love doing. But let's just take it as it comes, especially with winter at the moment. I know trail conditions are pretty poor. They're quite slippy. You know, if you go somewhere with roots, jumps have ruts up them. I just hate to push it too hard for now. Even have an accident on a wet trail and injure it for something that wasn't my fault, you know, just because the conditions were bad. So we are taking it easy still, but we are also out there sending it and feeling really, really good about it. I'm really stoked with how it feels, and it feels comfortable. There we have it. That is where I'm at with the shoulder now. That's where I'm going to be going forwards. This video is slightly different to what I'd normally do. Obviously, you're not always injured. I want to talk about it. I want to tell you guys where I'm at and how it's going. Hopefully it's helped some of you that are suffering from injuries, whether it's the shoulder or not. Maybe it's motivated you, maybe some of the exercises and that have helped you. Whatever you've taken from it, I hope it's something positive. If you want to see more updates and more videos like this, then let me know, because I do enjoy doing them. But if it's not for you, then also let us know, because we'll just stick to the bikes. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, leave some comments below, and I will see you guys in the next video.